lot to live up to. Because that other group of girls was pretty good too. And oh hey, hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12, Episode 2, aka Episode 1, Part 2. And all I have to say is, Jorge, drink me. Ooh, look at this. It's the same color as my hair. Oh, how lovely. What is this? Is this gin and tonic? Blue gin? Where did you get blue gin? I'm going to have a drink. All right, so let's get to it. So we ended last week's episode where we picked up this week, which was the girls retiring to the workroom after, well, no elimination, quite frankly. No one went home, and, you know, I'm not sad about it. So they all were just relaxing and, well, not even. They barely even, I don't even think any of them got their butt into the sofa before. There was Ru with another. She'd already had herses. And this one was to warn the girls that there was another wave of girls coming in and that they should leave them a lipstick message on the mirror, which they did. The next day, the second wave of queens. I know, it sounds like a horror movie. The second wave of queens. And I'll tell you, they started off right. They started off with Rock'em Sakura. And I have to say, she's going to be a lot of work. That's a lot of energy coming out of that little Spitfire. Don't anyone give her sugar, is all I'm saying. Now, that said, I secretly think that I enjoy her sense of humor. I just think she's got that quirkiness right away. I'm like, okay, all right. Maybe I judged a little too harshly. I'm not saying I did. I'm not saying I didn't. Next through the workroom doors was Dahlia Sin, and she is going to take your man, or so she says. And I, for one, believe her. I mean, I don't even have a man, and I think she already done taken him. I'm just saying. She is confident, the way a pretty girl is confident. And I don't mean that bitchy, but on some levels, and we've seen this before, where the pretty girls sometimes just showing up is enough. People are thrilled that they've shown up. So they're not often encouraged to develop other skills or anything. I'm hoping that's not the case with Dahlia. But one thing that I think she has in her favor, she's 29. She's not young. I thought she was going to be 21 or 22. No, she's 29. She's been on the earth long enough to know a few things, and if she doesn't, well, I, for one, am going to be a little judgy. I'm just saying. But right away, you could tell that Rock'em was working Dahlia's nerves, and mostly because you could see she was judging her. And I know this to be true, and I don't mean to be disparaging against Dahlia, but she even said as much about the girl she hasn't even met yet. I mean, I think that's pretty big talk for somebody to say she has no competition in the competition when the only queen she's met is Rock'em Sakura. No offense. And by the way, does anyone else feel racist when they say Rock'em Sakura? I think that it just sounds racist. That's why I say it different. Third through the workroom door was my pick to be one of the queens to be in the top three for sure, Sherry Pie. And I have to tell you, as much as I love her and as much as I'm excited to see her, there's another one that needs an off switch. It's a lot. That's a lot of you know. It's nice to see that she does tone it down a bit when she's out of drag, but she's still one of those theater people who's a little jazz handsy when they sometimes shouldn't be. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I can see that being a little much after a while. Of course, I was very pleased to hear Sherry drop a musical theater reference with Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. Of course, that song is from the Rodgers and Hart musical from 1940, Pal Joey. Yeah, I looked it up. My favorite thing, though, about Sherry meeting the other girls was Dahlia being bored of Rock'em and Sherry within seconds and just finding her own reflection much more interesting. She's not wrong. Fourth through the workroom door was Just Jan, and she made some reference to a sporting event. I don't watch the sports. I don't even care who's singing at that. I might watch the halftime show only on YouTube the day after it's happened, where there's no sports adjacency to it. It's just a performance and I can pretend that it's an outdoor concert, but I don't like watching the sports. RuPaul's Drag Race is my sport. Just saying. I am just going to say right away, I really like Jen. She got a lot of high energy, but she reminds me a little bit of Cheryl from Drag Race UK. And out of the gate, I didn't like Cheryl, but then I loved her. So with Jen, I think once she kind of settles in, she's going to be okay. But she just seems to be very much, here's what I can do. Here's what I mean, quite seriously, and no offense to anybody else, I would not have told those girls that I could sing. Not on day one, I wouldn't have. No, I would have kept that to myself until I had to drop it behind a microphone. I'm just saying. And if you're going to drop something, behind a microphone is way preferential. I'm just saying. I mean, as opposed to a dumpster. But no, not only did she tell the girls she could sing, well, she showed them, and she dropped it. Now, one of the things I have to say was Jeh Jamison Saul was another queen to walk through that. Oh, my God, stunning. Stunning. Sherry Pie is right. Her shoulders alone. Stunning. And all I have to say is she's got such a great sense of humor too. Usually with a look queen, somebody like that, they tend to be a little, Dahlia Sin, just a little, the cat chow song singing in the back of their head. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that bitchy. But, there's a reason Dahlia started looking at herself in the mirror as opposed to listening to Sherry and Rockham. But that said, I loved when Jada entered the room and she was all gorgeous and they were like, oh, where'd you get that? Well, I made it. I have a line of clothing. I made 99% of what I brought. And then she and Jan started talking about the singing. And then I love that Jada said, oh, now my turn. And then she barked out some bad scale. But what was fun was her lip syncing to Jan, which, again, I don't know, that showed the girls she's pretty good at lip syncing, especially on the fly. I'm just saying, these girls should not play poker. Last but not least through the workroom doors was Aidan Zane, and I loved how she knew that the other girls were just going to think that she was weird. Like that wig wasn't a tip-off, no offense. Those other girls not only thought she was weird, but started to grill her. Where do you perform? How often do you perform? Well, it turns out nowhere and not at all. And it seems to me that this self-professed actress may be a performer in the theater of her mind. Thank God Sherry Pie was there to save the day and distracted all the girls by pointing out the first group of queens' message. Of course, they didn't know who left it. All they saw was, we already done had ourses. And then they were noticing, there was clothing in the room. There were stations filled with wardrobe. And like true drag queens, they started going through it. And they were judgy. But before they could mop anything, there was Zombie Rue with this week's She Done Already Done Had Herses. And, of course, it was some cryptic message, as always, but it was filled, pregnant, I even say, with dancing references and talking about Fosse your posse. And at the end of it, there was 29-year-old Dahlia Sin. What's a Fosse? And I am just going to say, Sherry Pie's reaction, I have to sell it to you in 3 moves. The first move was her snapping her head around. I thought she was going to slap her face, Joan Crawford style. I mean, look at that. Look at that. What did you say? It was just waiting to happen. And then there was that disgust with the teeth, like, how dare you? And then I think it's at that moment that she was drinking in Who Said It, and there was a wash of acceptance and sadness. Like, oh, honey. Before she could tell Sherry, before she could tell Dahlia who the hell Bob Fosse was and why she was ignorant, there was Rue with this week's mini challenge, which I have to say was exactly the same as last week. And I am thrilled that that's the case because the last time, season 6, when they split the cast, the first cast had to do that photo shoot. I mean, they both did photo shoots, but the first cast did the photo shoot where they jumped off of something into foam, and the other group did a photo shoot with the pit crew and a sexy pillow fight. 2 different challenges. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to do one of these way better than the other. So this time around, I like that the girls repeated last week's mini challenge with a double runway look. I have to say, I was super impressed. First of all, Rockham Sakura, Oh my God, Rock'em Sakura. I sound dirty. Rock'em Sakura, that first look was gorgeous. The puff ball afro, and then that kimono silhouette with that weird little skirt that made me think of that picture. You know, somebody's poor and they have that barrel around them and the straps. That's what Rock'em's skirt made me think of. It didn't look like that, but that's what it put me in mind of. And it was just so uniquely her, very, even with her face painted on everything. I mean, it couldn't have been more her, but it was also very fast. She looked very elegant. It was an incredible first, not only first person on the runway for this challenge, but an incredible second look from Rock'em Sakura. So here's to you, Rock'em. Rock'em Sakura. See, it's getting easier to say now. Rock'em's fall look with those koi fish on a mermaid silhouette. I mean, I thought that was funny, but with the little capelet atop and the big hat, it made me think of the little girl, Madeline, the French girl, the story of the girl at the orphanage or whatever, with the nuns and the raincoats and the hats. And I loved it. I thought it was a great look. Much more, less editorial than her first look, but still very impressive. Well done. Here's to two good looks from Rock'em Sakura. Did I say it right? Dahlia Sin's spring look was delicious. A neon wiggle dress with the marabou at the top and the bottom with that beautiful orange wig. She looked gorgeous. Those two colors look good on her and together. And then her fall look, that Wookiee in springtime. I don't know what she was doing. It was beautiful. Just bands of faux fur. I'm sure it was for faux fur on netting. And just gorgeous. She looked great. You know, that's something a skinny girl can wear because it adds that bulk, but they still have a waist. It's to you, Dahlia. Good job. Third up was Sherry Pie, and I have to say, her first look surprised the hell out of me. And I'm going to even say that this was my favorite look of the whole runway. That lovely strapless gown, it made me think of Evita Perón, that beautiful, elegant, very mature, and I'm going to say a little restrained hairdo for Sherry Pie. And yet she was still campy with it. I love that Michelle Visage called her dress Sherry Tasselhoff because of the tassels, the beaded tassels down one side. She's big in Germany. But it was a good look. I was very, very impressed with that look. Her second look, her fall look, not so much. I'm not judging it, but I'm just going to say that with that scarf wrapped around her neck, it was less James Bond and more James Bound for me. I'm just saying. Still, very good runway from Ms. Pie. Oh, Pie, I'm so hungry. Fifth up the runway, that sounds dirty. Fifth down the runway was Just Jan. And I have to say, I really, really loved her spring look. I wouldn't have liked the shorts if they weren't stoned, but because it was spring and those stones were all very, lots of pastel reflections, it was very beautiful and very delicate for something that's so heavy. But her hair, that top, very editorial. I was very impressed with this look. And for somebody who says she doesn't get a lot of chances to dress like that, well, she's not holding back at all. Very, very good first look for Jan. Her second look, I have to say I secretly liked it. There was a part of me that I was like, ooh, and then I saw that it was pleated pleather. And just even saying it makes me want to slap myself. Do you know what I'm saying? Pleated pleather. And ooh in the same sentence. Now, I'm not saying that those things can't happen when the moon is right and the lights are dim. Oh, pleated pleather. But this look I thought was very interesting on Jan. The fact that the whole front had that look of a floor mat made me wonder if that's what they were in the first place and she had made an outfit around it and that's why it's pleated. Either way, I really did love the color. And for a fall look, the coat itself at least, well worth the price of admission. Here's to you, Jan, throwing down some couture. Next down the runway was Jeh Jamison Saul. And I have to say, I didn't much like her spring look. I'm not saying that it wasn't a beautiful dress, but with the patterns on it, and then all those cutouts, there was just those cutouts that followed the form. It just created a lot of landing places for the eyes. And so for me, it just made the whole outfit a little like she was coming at me. Do you know what I mean? Too many patterns all at once, a little distracting. That's all. That's the only reason. Otherwise, it was a spectacular outfit. Her fall look, oh my God, so elegant. That hair and the tan and the fur and she looked gorgeous. That was, if I could look like that just once. Last but not least down the catwalk was Aidan Zane. And I have to say, her first look surprised me. It was so cute and feminine and it's quirky, so still within her wheelhouse. But I really liked it. I thought it was super cute, very graphic. It's almost like a children's novel character had been brought to life. I really liked it. Her second look, I'm going to say I also really liked. Not all of it. I loved the capelet. I loved the knitted gaiters, the boots. Those were beautiful. But that basic black onesie, for all the things that she had going on there, she couldn't have found a bit of brown fabric or gold or something just to make a little skirt just to hide that. That was my only sadness. And it's only, again, because I think Aidan hit it so hard with the first one. This one made me a little judgy. It's not bad. And is it just me, or was Rue a little extra bitchy with her comments this year? I mean, that last one she threw out, when Michelle Visage says, it's Shields without Yarnell, and he said, it's without Shields, too. It just a little, well, now that she's making the Netflix money, I guess she can say whatever the hell she wants. Good for you, Rue. You get bitchy. It's your show. So after the runway, the girls finally de-dragged for the first time. And then I realized, yes, they have been in drag the whole time. They went from their entrance to the two different looks on the runway. And so now they're able to, as Rockham says, release the beast. And, this is always an interesting part of the drag race experience for me, is watching these girls watch each other. Like it's just because everyone's new, that's all. And they haven't seen their boy look yet. And they don't know whether to be nice to them or not, aka flirt. So I love that everyone hands down said that Dahlia Sin was the trait of the season. I don't know if she's the trait of the season or just naked. Either way, I think being naked that quick on the show, yeah, trade. Sherry Pie let her bitchiness out by saying to herself and us that Aidan Zane looked backwoods to her. But I think backwoods is just her friendly way of saying swamp pig. And how cute is Rock'em Sakura out of drag? Oh my God, so normal, so average. If he came up to me and said I'm a drag queen, I'd say sure you are, honey. Who isn't? I just was so impressed. Even her body out of drag seems to have changed. So, well done, Rockham, I'm saying. But before the queens could perv out too much, there was Rue with this week's main challenge, which was another musical challenge. This week, the musical number was You Don't Know Me, in a Bob Fosse style. So the girls quickly got to it. Again, they wrote lyrics and we never watched them record it, and which is sad because some people like Aidan Zane's lyrics when they were finished were very interesting. I would have loved to have seen the process, but we didn't see it. What we did see, though, was these girls bitch and fight on the main stage while they tried to figure out the choreography. And, here's the thing. Right away, they were all like, well, who does this, who does that? And there's Sherry Pie saying, well, I do all that, but I don't want to take charge. And right away I knew that she would be, okay, she's not in charge, but she's going to tell people how to do stuff. Which she kind of did. And then, oh God, poor Rockham. I mean, she later revealed her issues with taking charge, but she was so eager to please and so quick to jump in, and I just felt that everyone, as Aidan said, everyone jumped in with an opinion. They were all trying to add their 10 cents, and there was poor Jeh Jamison Saul trying to remind them all that not everyone's a dancer, aka she not a dancer. Keep it simple, so it just made for an incredibly convoluted, wordy, argumentative discussion on why they're not doing anything while they didn't do anything. Bless them. The next day in the workroom, poor Rock'em Sakura told the girls about her issues with feeling responsible for people. This triggers a lot of anxiety in her, and she explained that this comes from the fact that her poor drug-addicted mother blamed her drug addiction on Rock'em, and so she has this feeling of like needing to be or being the one to help people, or putting in that position of responsibility, and it freaks her out. And I certainly can understand anyone in a position of responsibility would freak out. But when you're carrying all that baggage with you too, God bless you, Rock. I'm so sorry to hear it. Oh. Sherry Pie also made a move for Miss Congeniality by checking in with Aidan Zane. And I don't mean that bitchy. I mean, I do mean it bitchy. But clearly Aidan was having problems the day before in the rehearsal. But then who wasn't? But I thought it was lovely that Sherry checked in with Aidan, because Aidan is very much out of her comfort zone. I don't think she's out of her element. I think that she is very realistic with what she can and can't do. I think the only thing that's going to hold her back on any level is just nerves. I think she's going to be doing a lot of things for the first time in a very public forum. So already, Aidan has my respect. I'm serious. Good job. But before the girls could start a full-blown love, and it was time to hit the runway, and there was Rue, thank God, in a way better dress than last week. I love this dress. I love the green of the feathers. I love that they were all washing to one side. The only thing I hated about this dress was the belt. It seemed very last minute, like gold lame, like, oh, we need something. This tie. If she turned around and it was tied, I wouldn't be surprised. But that said, she looked gorgeous. Joining her on the judging panel, of course, our fabulous Michelle Visage, and our favorite funny man, Ross Matthews, was there, along with musical sensation, Robin. She looked gorgeous. She doesn't age, this woman. This woman has never aged. And joining them, Tandy Newton. Oh my God, such a beautiful actress. I just think she is one of the younger stars, and I say this as an older person. She's a new star to me, but she's got stability. I'm really impressed that she was a judge on the show. Not only that, I was super impressed that it's on her bucket list. What I don't believe is that that woman has ever eaten chicken out of a bucket. And if she did, she didn't keep it down long. I'm not judging. I'm just saying a skinny child like that isn't eating chicken out of a bucket. Go ahead. Guess where I eat my chicken out of? I dare you. And then it was time for the Queen's big number. And I have to say, in general, I thought this was a great number. I thought they did an excellent job, especially with all the trouble they had during choreography. Up first, or at least the Queen who had her verse up first, was Aidan Zane. And she surprised the hell out of me. It was very spoken word. This is somebody I would have liked to have seen the process of recording. I would have liked to have seen how much she brought to the mic out of the gate, and how much of that performance was coaxed out of her by a producer. Also, it put me in mind of Sasha Velour, very, very edgy and fabulous. I thought she did an excellent job. I also completely agree with Rue. It's a meaty tuck, especially from the back. Just saying. Dahlia Sin's verse was up next, and I loved what she was wearing. She looked stunning. I loved the wig, I loved the barrettes, I loved all of it. But it wasn't until the critique when Michelle pointed out that her lyrics said that she was from a big city full of sin. Oh, what city is that? Brooklyn. And that she had won all these trophies. She's like, what trophies is this? It's like, well, ones I gave myself. It's just like, oh, honey. She's trying to be big pimpin', and no one's going to let her. And the whole point of this was for them to get to know them more in the lyrics. So I'm glad Michelle called her out on it anyway. But also, they also felt, or at least Michelle did, that Dahlia's performance was a little restrained. And I have to say, yeah, you could hear her counting in her head. But I also was impressed with how well she did do. So here's to you, Dahlia. Well done, at least to try. Jada Essence Hall, for all her worry, crushed her verse. I thought she did a great job. She was funny. Her dancing was great. Even when she was dancing with the girls in a group, she didn't stand out in any negative way. The only thing I would say about her was her outfit I liked the least. It wasn't a deal breaker for me. It just, of all the girls standing there, I just wish she had worn something with a little more sparkler or something. I don't know. It just seemed kind of dance rehearsal-y, even with all that fringe in the front. Just saying. Just Jan's verse was more like an infomercial or a living resume on her skills and where you could call to book her. And that said, it was really good. I mean, she did a cartwheel, she sang, she hit a high note. I mean, if I were one of the other girls, I'd be a little worried at Just Jan. There's nothing just about her. Rock'em Sakura's verse was very much just like her. High energy and packed with all sorts of tricks and shablams. And by shablams, I mean farts, seriously. What was she thinking? Sherry Pie crushed it, Natch. She looked good. I love that a little black cold shoulder action she was giving us. Again, the wig, very elegant. And yet, full camp, she was mugging and just very funny. I thought she did an excellent job. As I knew she would, seriously. And then it was time for the queens to hit the runway. And this week's category was Tulle. I love Tulle. First down the runway, Aidan Zane. I thought this girl had surprised me. She surprised me twice already, and now she surprised me a third time. She surprised me with that first runway look for the mini challenge. She surprised me with her fabulous performance in the main challenge. And then this runway look, this chartreuse lime green peignoir set. Oh my God. And the wig, the lavender wig, so beautiful. I was so impressed with her look. Another look that completely impressed me was Dahlia's Sin. I mean, when she said it was 80s inspired, I was like, yeah, I was just thinking, oh my God, she looks like every person I went to a club with in the 80s. Next down the runway was Jada Essence Hall in that buttercup yellow cupcake deliciousness. Oh my God, so delicate, that dress. It was just beautiful. I loved how long it was, but I also loved how long the slit was, because otherwise I think that dress would have swallowed her up. But having that leg free, it just made that dress stunning. Here's to you, Jada. Just Jan went down the runway in just the best outfit of the week for the main challenge. For the main runway. This Tulle workman's jumpsuit for the sideline, the orange and the neon yellow. Oh my God, that was incredible. I can't believe she made something so functional looking out of the least functional fabric known to man. It was very impressive. And the fact that she was using actual tools as well. This is a girl who's come to play. She's not taking any chances. She's thought about everything, which sometimes is a great thing and sometimes can trip a queen up. Let's Fingerdoo it up that it doesn't trip Jan. Here's to you, Just Jan. Next down the runway was Rock'em Sakura, and I have to say that I was torn with this outfit too. Ross thought that it swallowed her up. Michelle thought no, because there was a corset, you could see her shape. It was impressive. I thought the outfit looked best when she was moving. When she was moving, you could see more of it. The arms would move, you'd see shapes and things happen. When she was standing there, she looked like a Tulle bouncy castle. And so, I mean, I think both Michelle and Ross were right, but at the same time, they were both wrong. Either way, it's Tulle. Relax. Nobody got hurt working with Tulle. Last but not least down the catwalk was Sherry Pie. And I have to say, next to Just Jan's orange road workers jumpsuit, this was my second favorite look down the runway. Her little gray rain cloud Tulle bubble dress and the lightning bolts and the raindrops. Oh my God, that big rain slicker that she dropped off at the top. And then her whole persona on stage, like, crying rain cloud. So funny, so brilliant. And clearly, this is another queen who's put some thought into what she's doing and has come to compete. During the judges' critiques, Aidan Zane got high praise from all the judges. Dahlia Sin got told to maybe paint a little harder by Ross Matthews, which I'm just going to say I'm sure that Dahlia Sin heard "You Ugly Girl." Of course, no one hated Jada Essence Hall, and Ross Matthews said, even though he loved her fall look, the confidence that she used to walk down that runway could sell anybody anything. And he's not wrong. Seriously. Everyone seemed to love Just Jan too. Well, Ross had a moment to say to Just Jan, don't do everything at once. Don't do everything at once. Take your moments, take your time. I think that was good advice from Ross, because clearly Just Jan is just itching to win. I'm just saying. And of course, the gag of the critiques was Tandy Newton telling Sherry Pie that if Meryl Streep was a drag queen, she'd be her. Meryl Streep would be so lucky, I'm just saying. So when the judgment ended, it was Jada Essence Hall and Sherry Pie who thought they were in the bottom, but no, they were in the top, and they had to lip sync for their legacy and a $5,000 tip. And they did it to Robin's Call Your Girlfriend. Now, I was so impressed to watch both these queens lip sync, because you couldn't have two more different performers, two more different styles of drag, two different just performers in general. Jada just hit that ground running, literally. She cooter slammed it. She did everything. She was all over that stage. Sherry Pie was more stationary, but very animated and really acting out the song, with her body, but mostly with her face. And she did an excellent job. But when the record stopped the spinning, I don't think anyone had a problem with Jada Essence Hall being declared the winner, because she just threw herself around that stage. It's not that Sherry Pie wasn't impressive. It's just that Jada was more impressive. But before we bid goodbye to the queens, they retired to the workroom where the first group of queens were waiting for them. It was a standoff in the workroom. Both groups of queens giving each other the side eye. But that said, what did you think of the first episode? Do you think that Jada Essence Hall was the deserving winner? Do you think the other girls should be scared of her? What about Sherry Pie? A lot of queens often dismiss a comedy queen not being a threat, but she clearly has some skills. I'm going to say that of the whole group, I was really expecting Rockham and Aidan to struggle, and they both shone. It was a great episode, if you ask me. Now, all we have to do is wait one more week until we can see all 13 of the girls together. And then, in my opinion, the race will really get started. Will there be a double elimination to make up for the fact that we didn't have an elimination last week or this week? Will there be no eliminations? Will they get more tips? What's going to happen? Well, all we can do is tune into RuPaul's Drag Race next week and find out. And then when you're done, you come on back and you see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, before you go, don't forget to like my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the little bell thing so you get notifications when I do post my videos. And I've got links down below. If you're interested in supporting the Fingerdoo review, you can do so. You can give me a one-time tip at PayPal. There's a link to that. I also have a Patreon account. On my Patreon account, I just want to let you know, I have 3 tiers of supporters. You can just support me for $1 a month, just $1 a month. If you want to be in the credits, $3 a month. And if you want to be in the credits and have access to my weekly watcha, which is basically just me answering fan mail, or not fan mail, it's just questions from you, the viewer. If you would like to be one of those people, you can join me for $5 a month on Patreon. And don't forget, I have t-shirts and merchandise available on redbubble.com. All those links are below. So there you have it. Until next week, miss me. Mwah. Seriously, Jorge, I'm so disappointed that this blue gin didn't go pink. Gonna make my blue gin